and welcome. It's Nutrition Moments where we get enlightened about eating right to stay healthy. I am Fadila Okunu. As usual, let's start off with recent events and developments in the field of nutrition on Nutri-News. You are welcome back. Meat is an integral part of many food cultures around the world, and Nigeria is no exception as it accompanies our main meals. While some people regard meat as a fantastic source of nutrients, others see it as being harmful to our health. On Nutrilens today, we shall examine meat and our health. In Nigeria, as well as other countries, many delicacies are accompanied by meat of mammals and birds in different classification. Meat can be flesh or tissue, the popular ara ẹran in Yoruba parlance, or edible parts of the animal such as the offal, inú ẹran, which is the liver, brain, kidney, intestine, gizzards, and more. When prepared and served along with our main meals, meat is mouth-watering, delicious, and the most sought-out item in a plate of food. Over the years, there have been debates on health grounds to eat or not to eat meat. The meat debate is both complicated and divisive. There are reasons to eat meat and to avoid it. Our crew went out to assess people's opinion on how regular they eat meat and their perception of the health benefits or otherwise of meat consumption.
I eat it like at least twice in a week. According to what I heard, it has a lot of protein. It's good for the body.
I prefer beef to other meats. Too much of everything is not good, so you can take it like in moderate size and portion. It will be healthy for the body.
I eat meat. I do. Yeah, just occasionally. Majorly just to exercise my jaws. Majorly just when you're chewing, yeah, that kind of thing. So, and also it's good in protein. At least at some points, yeah, I feel meat is healthy.
I don't eat meat that much. I prefer eggs. Yeah, to some people it's healthy, to some it's not. But to me it's healthy for me.
Everybody eats meat, so I feel yes, meat is also good for the body.
I do take meat twice in a week. When I was young, I eat meat because I enjoy eating meat. But like now, I had to reduce it because I notice most of the time if I eat like 2-3 pieces of meat, the next day I get constipation.
I eat meat, but I don't eat it as often as I would eat fish. Growing up, I've always believed that too much meat is not healthy for the body. I've been seeing research lately saying that basically, according to your blood group, you can eat meat. Yes, it's not so dangerous for the body. Just eat it in moderation.
We were raised to always have meat or something protein on our food. For kids and, people, adults, below 40 or 35, let's say. I think it is okay. It is healthy to eat meat. I think so. But when you're like 40 and above, I think meat intake should be reduced. It depends on the age.
Meat is typically recognized as being a good source of protein, but it is less frequently recognized or appreciated for the key micronutrients that it provides. As with every claim that meat is good for good health, supplying the body with essential micronutrients, there seems to be another claim implying that meat causes heart disease and cancer. Our first task is to examine what benefits can be derived from eating meat.
Meat is a very, helpful and beneficial, food for the body, right? Meat contains majorly proteins, and this protein particularly is very helpful for muscle building. It's helpful for organ development. It's helpful for bone development, right? But then beyond the protein content or protein beneficial values of meat, right? We also have that meat contains iron, iodine, zinc, calcium, vitamin B12, right? All of these nutrients cumulatively do very helpful, important functions in the body, from immune function to, other metabolic processes in the body. Now also, meat contains what we call fatty acids, right? And these fatty acids are very helpful for brain development, right? Cognitive functions generally. So yeah, meats are very healthy for the body, right? This is more or less a generalistic view of meats in terms of nutrient content. But when you talk about across the different kinds of meat, right, their nutrient value differs, or nutrient profile, right, differs. Some are higher in certain nutrients more than others, right, and all of that combined together. But all encompassing, meats contain good proteins, good for your body, iron, iodine, calciums, and fatty acids and vitamin B12 all together.
While some acknowledge that protein-rich foods like meat have benefits for muscles and bone health, increased metabolism and iron absorption, others associate meat and other protein consumption as a contributory factors to health issues such as hypertension, obesity, and diabetes.
So there seems to be this ongoing debate if meats are healthy for the body or not, and it's very first important that we understand that meats are actually healthy, right? Meat contains very good amount of proteins and some vitamins and minerals like your calcium, your iodine, your iron, your vitamin B12, fatty acids, and a whole lot of other things. But on the other hand too, right, meat actually contains some forms of sodium and are a bit high in saturated fats. And well, some studies have even found out that meat has been linked, excessive consumption of meat has been linked to heart disease, cancer, and a lot of other health issues. But in all of this, right, both studies and all of that, it's very important to understand that major focus most times when it comes to consumption of meat in terms of if it's healthy or not is one, the excessive consumption, right? That is very, very important, right? And so it's important to eat meat in moderation. That's one. But number two, it's important to focus on eating more fresh cuts of meat than processed meat. And when I'm talking about processed meat, right, we are looking at meats such as your sausages, your hot dogs, your ham, your bacons. These are processed meats. And why this is a concern is because these kinds of meat are higher in salt, fat, sodium, which are all not good for heart, for sugar levels, and a whole lot of other things, right? So yes, there is a risk, right, of excessive, a key word here being excessive consumption of meat causing or leading to heart disease. But in the last scheme of things, right, it's not just the consumption of meat that is going to cause somebody having heart disease in the long run. Most times when it comes to nutrition, we look at it holistically. So should you consume meat? Yes, by all means, but it should be in moderation, and it should also be more of the lean cuts that do not have fat, and more of cuts of meat that are not processed.
Meat can be classified according to the animal from which it comes, as well as how it is prepared. Thus, we have the red meat, white meat, and the processed meat. Red meat have high amounts of myoglobin, a protein that is high in iron and found only in mammals. They are called red meat because they are normally red when raw. Red meats include beef, lamb or goat meat, pork, and others. White meats are flesh that are light in color before and after cooking, as opposed to red meat. They include meat from whole birds such as chicken, turkey, goose, duck, quail, and rabbit, amongst others. Processed meats are red or white meats that have been treated or enhanced in various forms, such as salting, smoking, drying, or other processes. Examples are hot dogs and sausages. Processed meats have been modified with additives to enhance flavor. While meat consumption is beneficial, health experts offer these cautionary tips.
Like every other kind of meat, red meat contains some amount of saturated fats and sodium. Maybe higher, right, than some others like your poultry. But that being said, and yes, also some studies have linked, excessive consumption of red meat to heart disease, to cancer, to a lot of other, chronic diseases. A few things that we have to notice. These risks have been associated with excessive consumption. When taking red meat, then it should be in moderation. Like every other thing, basically, right? Linking, certain foods to a certain kinds of disease, while, that they are true to some of these things, it's all about how it's consumed and with what. By how I'm talking about, you're not just eating only meat. You're probably eating it with a combination of other food groups, your carbohydrates, your vegetables, your fruits, and all of that. So you're having a wholesome meal. The associated risks of red meat to heart disease and cancer and all of that is mostly, have been mostly tied or linked to processed meats. By all means, please avoid the sausages. By all means, please avoid the hams. By all means, please avoid the bacons. By all means, avoid hot dogs as much as possible and go for fresher whole cuts of meat. But preferably, though, it's important to state here that in consumption of meat, it's more helpful or advice that you take more of poultry, right, and fish than red meat. But that's not to say that you should not consume red meat at all.
In line with medical advice is the moderation in the consumption of red or processed meats. And since there are veritable alternatives that contain all the nutritional elements that red or processed meat possessed, it is advised that we moderately consume meat in our diet. I'm sure you must have learned a thing or two on meat consumption. Join me next week where we shall delve into meat hygiene and preparation. Till then, bye for now.